One recording. Hi, this is Dr. David Edward-Ooi Poon, founder of Faces of Advocacy, or previously Advocacy for Family Reunification at the Canadian border. Our guest today, I'm really excited. It is the Shadow Cabinet Minister for Health, Matt Jeneroux of Edmonton Riverbend. So thank you so much for coming and be with us here today.
No, thank you, Dr. Poon. It's a pleasure to see you once again.
David is fine. Now, MP Jeneroux was with us the day of the press conference, standing with me. He was also there asking questions in the House of Commons, and also we'll hear about his social media campaign as well. For those of you just joining us, the Faces of Advocacy are working to reunify Canadian families here during the travel restrictions. We are not asking for open borders. We are just asking to be together. So, MP Jeneroux, my first question is, why is family reunification important for Canadians and to the people of Edmonton Riverbend?
Well, I think a riding like Edmonton Riverbend, we have a lot of families, snowbirds. It's a bit of an older population, so until really the Face of Advocacy put this on my radar, I'd maybe received one or two emails. MP Michelle Rempel-Garner was a strong advocate who I know you've talked to already. In terms of getting this message out, but it really came down to, why are you elected? Why do you put your name forward to run for a public position like this? And it's for causes like Faces of Advocacy. It's a compassionate reason for people who love each other to be together. I couldn't possibly imagine the situation of COVID and everybody isolating without the loved ones that I have around me. And I have a newborn little baby, and without those ones around me, I couldn't even imagine to the extent of what people are going through. So it came down to put myself in the shoes of people like you, David, and others, and just thinking, this is the right thing to do.
Thank you so much. No, that means a great deal to hear all of that. And I really appreciate the level of compassion that you've had, both for Canadians and your constituents, because it means so much that you put us on your radar. You say, it wasn't because of us putting it on your radar, but we're thankful that you let us be on your radar, because for a long time, we didn't feel that we had any people advocating for us. And that is why you are one of our champions. You stood in the House of Commons for our petition. You also stood with us during our press conference. What helped you gain that strength, gain that drive to stand up for voting Canadians and families that day?
Well, I think you guys are so well organized, and that's a large part to I know the work you and many others in the campaign have done. I've got to meet a few of your colleagues through some of the social media work that we've done, and just everybody is, it's like a campaign like nothing else. We get inundated with a bunch of different causes and outreach every single day, but this one being so organized like you are, and just having everything, you have a tremendous background behind you. You are that organized. So that being a really a strong point to kind of start with, and then obviously your message at the press conference, before the press conference, just on the importance of it comes down to a very simple thing. You want to see your loved one. There's a bunch of hurdles in your way from you seeing your loved one and everybody else in the situation. There's things that we can do as a member of Parliament to push on your behalf. Standing in the House of Commons being one of them, petitions being others, raising the awareness of this cause and campaign that you've started. It was, again, it comes down to compassionately, this is just the right thing to do, and I think all Canadians are starting to see that this is a major injustice for you and many in your same case.
Hearing you say that means a great deal. I mean, we have a fantastic team, it's true, being organized, but you help elevate us from outside the radar onto the House of Commons, and for that we'll always thank you. It means such a big deal to us. So this is an important question, particularly when it comes to health in general. How has family separation affected mental health?
Yeah, mental health has always been something that's I've been working on off the side of my desk, and any other role I've had in Parliament, and largely, focusing on young mental health and young men has always been a cause that have really pushed for. But then the pandemic hits, and it's not just young men; it's young people. It's everybody that has been affected. And I vice chair our health committee, and at our health committee we were presented with a from the Canadian Mental Health Association very early on that they were very worried about an echo pandemic happening at the exact same time, and that kind of opened my eyes to what everybody else is going through. And it's not just through Face of Advocacy. There's kids going back to school, increased depression, anxiety. It's permeating throughout our entire society. And in Canada, we're about to head into typically gets a little bit worse. It's September, more pressures, bills at the end of the year. We see higher rates of suicide. We see higher rates of depression, higher rates of anxiety. To put all that then in perspective of what's going on with Faces of Advocacy and being apart from those levels of support that you have, it just it elevates the situation that you and many of your colleagues are in. And it's to being able to if it's simply giving a little bit of hope that there's somebody there to help and to be listened to. There's everybody who's messaged me on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter have tried to get back to, and just simply saying, stay strong, we're keeping pushing, we're not going to give up until this is changed. And just having that message, giving that level of hope, hopefully adds some hope that you're not alone in this fight out there.
That little glimmer of hope means a lot. The internet cut out briefly. You were saying coming into winter, correct?
Yeah, coming into winter.
Yes.
Here in Edmonton, we have some pretty harsh winters. I know I've also spent them in Ottawa too, so there's some pretty harsh winters in both places. So, yeah, those things really, it just exacerbates the part of the situation that we're all seeing.
I did medical school in winter, and it was very, very cold and very, very challenging.
Yeah.
You were actually the first person that I approached with the data from the Faces of Advocacy Mental Health Index, and I'm grateful for your trust. I'm thankful that you did a lot with it. And so now it comes to what we can do now. How do you see family reunification occurring safely in Canada?
Yeah, you had very, very powerful words, I think, at the press conference, and it was, to me, it resonated. You are willing to do anything to essentially see your loved one, and the amount of messages I've received from now I consider our friends in the Face of Advocacy have been very much the same. I think of our mutual friend Sarah Campbell, she will do anything to spend just a little bit of time with her loved one, and being able to just again continue to push that message, whether it's getting tested the minute you land, whether it being swearing an attestation, whether it being just whatever, it's all there. Just I think simply the message to the government is just tell us what it is, and we will do it. Is what we're trying to get across. So I think at the end of the day, it's I'm seeing that there's hope, and there's potentially the Public Health Agency is looking at doing COVID-19 tests when people land. Now the possibility of that versus the 14-day quarantine, that wasn't even on the radar, back when we did the press conference for certain things. So I think certain things are moving, and they're moving because of the Face of Advocacy campaign. And I think just, the ability to say, we will do anything, and we don't want open borders. This isn't tourism. This is simply want to see our loved ones is a strong and powerful message.
Well, it's a lot of the power comes from you and your willingness to stand for voting Canadian families. And we wouldn't have much of a press conference if people like you were not standing with us. So I personally know what you have done for us. And I'm hoping you can tell the people watching, what have you been doing to bring families together? In particular, you've been running a social media campaign with a little known advocacy group that you trust.
Yeah, that's just, I don't know, that's just a small thing. We thought when coming back from Ottawa on the plane ride back, thinking, what else can I do? It's, again, your press conference was very, you did very well and very powerful. And I think a lot of Canadians started to tune into the message there. So I'm thankful that you came to Ottawa to do that. But then on
And
the
you.
plane ride back, thinking, well, what else could we do? And thought, you know what, have a bit of a presence on not to the extent of say a Michelle Rumpel Garner, but to some level of a degree on Instagram, and said, you know what, this is at least sharing these stories, because the amount of stories that we've seen in our office are moving. They're moving personally, they're moving politically, they're moving public policy wise. You want to do everything you can. So I said, let's start and let's do something. And let's, I called up a friend of mine who's a graphic designer, and she put together a bunch of just said, took her no time at all, put some small pictures and clips together of some of the people that either reached out to us or we reached out to afterwards, asking for some of that. And it just, turned into, we got a lot of local attention here. There's a bit of explaining in terms of, not wanting open borders, because Edmonton is the NHL hub city, and there is some controversy that comes with some of that. So wanting to really make sure that get that message across. So yeah, we pushed that out, and we've been pushing that out since. So we shared our second round of stories, I think, earlier this week. To be honest, David, we've just been inundated with so many stories and so many pictures that it's been heartwarming to see, but also, you just want to see some movement on this and urgently.
You gave us an incredible amount of visibility. And for those watching, in the comments, you'll see the links to the social media campaign that MP Jeneroux is doing. So the final question here is, what message do you have for Canadians who are feeling alone, feeling forgotten, just having such a hard time being isolated from the families during this pandemic?
Yeah, stay strong. There's hope is out there. From where we've come from just in the last few weeks since the first time you and I set eyes on each other. Yes. I think has been huge. So the government appears to be moving on this. I don't want to say that we keep hearing rumors of one thing and then another thing, but it does seem like from what somebody within the government's told me, is that they've noticed the social media campaigns that they're referring to. They've noticed us. They've heard us. So that's the first step. Now it's just a matter of getting actual tangible action. And we're closer than we have ever been. We're closer than we were a month ago. We were closer than we were a week ago. So it's just stay strong, stay hopeful. We're almost there. And once we're there, we can kind of all celebrate seeing loved ones, but keeping the pressure on your local members of parliament, keeping the pressure on the ministers, the Minister Blair, Minister Haidu, making sure that they all know that this isn't something that we're not going away. I'm not giving up. I know Michelle Rumpel Garner is not giving up. You're not giving up. So we're going to keep going until this is across the finish line.
It means so much to hear you not only talking about the pandemic, but the echo pandemic, and you standing for us, not only to bring our families together, but our mental health is why you are a champion. MP Jeneroux, thank you for everything. To anyone watching this video, to anyone feeling alone, disenfranchised, and forgotten by the current travel restrictions, I ask you to please join us on the campaign, facesofadvocacy.com. You can find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and now on YouTube at Faces of Advocacy. We are not asking for open borders. We just want to be together. Thank you so much. And we're signing out in 3, 2, 1.